This is the year-end review for the University of Virginia's football program 2022 with Big Law and my guy Locked from the Virginia Game Day podcast.
You are Locked On Virginia, your daily podcast on the Virginia Cavilers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, good evening, viewers and listeners. I'm your host. Welcome to Locked On Virginia, Cavilers podcast, your first place to come to get your Wahoo fix every day. As part of the Locked On Podcast Network, as you can see, I got my partner in crime, my man Casey Pizzaia, in the building from the Virginia Game Day podcast, and we're going to talk about the year-end review. This is the year-end review. We're talking about the football program, and pretty much a year that I haven't ever been a part of. Some things that I've never seen to be a part of and to get into the entire year. I mean, let's just talk about it because there's so many facets, from one end to the other as far as the gamut of all the things that to talk about. But yeah, man, it's a different football program. You need to, invest in Tums, as far as I'm concerned. But how you doing today, Casey, man? First day
good,
of the year.
Yeah, right. We're back. This was the New Year's Day recognized, so we're recording this on Monday night, but most folks were off today. And before we start, definitely just want to, we're kind of doing this podcast right now as the DeMar Hamlin situation is going on, so we'd be remiss to not mention that and just say, prayers up for him and thinking about his family as well.
Yep. Prayers for his family. But yeah, so, as we, continue to speak about, the football program, I guess the first thing we jump back into 2001 just briefly. December, the University of Virginia lost their coach, Uncle Mendenhall, who had a good deal of success in my opinion, about the University of Virginia because there has been the struggles for this team, and I mean and then picking up Tony Elliott felt like it was a really good thing to pick up a coach with pedigree. This is what they were searching for.
Sure.
Kind of give me your idea, Kate, about your feeling about, number one, Bronco leaving at the end of the year and then getting Tony Elliott right there, right before.
Well, I mean, since we're doing the whole timeline episode, like, you remember how crazy that whole month was with the coaching search. I had never been a part of a Virginia coaching search before, and it was hectic. It was, I was using Twitter like crazy. I was every 10 minutes I'd be checking my phone, checking and getting this news. Poindexter was like a hot name. It was reported he was coming. He ended up not coming. Everyone wanted to have one of our own back on grounds to kind of recruit the state and do it big. Obviously didn't end up happening that way. But the thought was that Tony Elliott was a better hire. Other programs wanted him. He had turned down big jobs in the past. National champion. I think it's the Bryles Award, top assistant in the country. Just, he was supposed to, well, he still can, but the thought was that he was going to bring Virginia to the next level. Bronco took it from the basement and, built a nice foundation, bought some nice furniture and stuff. Tony Elliott's supposed to,
Mm-hmm.
make it into a mansion, take it to the top.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're gonna put a new roof on there, do some gardening,
Yep.
get the yard nice and beautiful, you know, redo the porch. I mean, yeah, put a deck on the back. That's what we're looking
Yeah.
for from
But
Coach Tony Elliott statement.
and I don't want to get too much into the results yet, but that's sometimes that happens with hiring first time coaches. They haven't made the mistakes yet. You know what I mean? It's like first year freshman players. They're making freshman mistakes. They're making rookie mistakes, and it's kind of been a learning process here through the first year of Coach Elliott's run.
Yeah, with those freshmen, you never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah,
When you're talking about freshman players and also freshman coaches.
yeah,
So now that Tony Elliott is in the building, his first task is to hire coaches.
mm-hmm.
As as daunting as that can be, to hire coaches. You see right off the bat, he kept three UVA coaches, guys. He
Yeah,
kept Clint, he kept Biscuit, which is Mark Higgins, and he kept Gary cast that he had to hire. That's where some of the unsteadiness came in from the fan base.
sure. Coach Rudd, I love that hire. Air Force was ranked in the top 5, I think, in yards allowed per game last year, and I'm like, listen, they were starting with such a bad product on defense that he had to improve it, and he did a good job this year. The Kitchings hire optically was a little bit for me because he hadn't been OC really anywhere else. He had been a co-offensive coordinator, and they had a good relationship. That was kind of how it was presented. That's kind of what you felt too, right?
Service schools, right, right. Well, yeah, and I really hadn't done any research on him coming from the Falcons and their success. Needless to say, the Falcons weren't burning it up on offense either. It wasn't
Yeah,
like it was, you're bringing in like a link, a track record on the college or even another pro level, burning it and just putting up a lot of points.
yeah,
That wasn't for uh, uh, thinking, when they bought in the offensive
yeah.
coordinator. But
It was mostly just that they had worked
you
together in the
still had to give
past,
them the
and
benefit of the doubt.
yeah, they had worked together in the past. They had trust in there, and that's great. Um, but and then they brought in a lot of other guys from other schools, and got Chris Slade back. That was big. But at the time, I thought the hiring of the staff was a good mix. A good mix of Service Academy and returning guys from Broncos
Mm-hmm.
staff, a good mix of UVA, a good mix of NFL. So I liked it.
So yeah, Corona comes over from Air Force with Coach Rudd, and they rebuild the defense. But the team hired, the coaching staff hired. Let's talk about the spring game. We get into the March April time frame,
Mm-hmm.
and I was at the game, and
Okay.
it seemed more like a spring game atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Which was good, which was we wanted, but philosophy on display. They ran the ball 3 yards in a cloud of dust almost the entire game, and a lot
Mm-hmm.
of passes that were thrown by Brennan in particular were high, low, wide, and his troubles showed up in the spring game. Did you get a chance to see it at all?
No, no, but I remember it being a thing. Like I know Paris Jones had a big run, and I think Ahmad Foston
Mm-hmm.
had a touchdown, and the tight ends did some nice work, but no, Brennan being a highlight wasn't something that I had heard at all.
Yeah, the tight ends did just had an eye on Sacky Wood. That's when my eyes had kind of fixed on him, and he showed how how much of a weapon he could be. But out of that, there really wasn't much to cheer except the was what it was. It wasn't too spectacular. It was a uh, I guess we give him the benefit of the doubt. So now comes the transfer portal, and
Mm-hmm.
comes the recruiting. Recruiting was kind of lackluster. I mean, you had some, and it was because really he came in. Coach Elliott came in after national or signing day, pretty much. To try to get a foothold in. He came in after that period of trying to get players to sign up.
And
What
there
were
was
you?
such a mass exodus from when Bronco said he was gone. I mean, offensive line
Mm-hmm.
was the biggest thing. It was just like everyone out the door. So when Coach Elliott came in, his main thing was, I need an offensive line for this year. You know what I mean? So hit the portal, got some guys, but yeah, he had to build like right away, like when he got here.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he did, and what I saw was those players leaving. They lost Robert and I, and he left both, and you lose all of your starters. One of
Yep.
them, a high-end All-American, your center, Olawatimi, who pretty much
Yep.
was the driver of that offensive line, the captain of the offensive line, and you pretty much are starting over because all of your starters pretty much have no experience except one player, and he had a few games of experience. So you're starting to rebuild from there. They did strike. They did do well with getting Chico Bennett and some of these other um, defensive linemen out of the portal as well. So they did do good that situation.
Yeah. Jack Camper, Paul Akiri, they went after him.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And would wind up being why this team had some kind of a measure of success because of how the defense played. So
Yeah. Yep.
now that we got the portal out of the way, we've got the uh, off season out of the way, we've got the spring game and the coaching hire, uh, things that we're going to talk about after this. How was the gift Omaha Steaks received when you sent it to a friend or family member? The quality, convenience, and everything you need to deliver an unforgettable holiday gift experience. Omaha Steak, America's original butcher since 1960, and a holiday that's guaranteed to be loved. The holiday achieve gifting greatness when you give the gift of perfectly aged, tender, and delicious Omaha steaks. The steak experts at Omaha Steaks have put together special curated packages to help take the guesswork out of gifting, make you the holiday hero. Go to omahasteaks.com and use locked on and check out and get $30 off your order. Send an assortment of mouthwatering favorites guaranteed to impress, like a mignon, boneless chicken, ultra juicy burgers, and even easy to prepare comfort meals that are ready in a flash. Omaha Steaks is ready to ship your order right away. So shop early, ship rush. Go to Omaha and use the code locked on and check out. Omaha Steaks is a gift from the heart, a gift with will be remembered with every unforgettable bite. Order with complete confidence today, knowing you're ordering the very best. Visit omahasteaks.com, use promo code locked on, and check out and get your mandatory $30 minimum required. So yeah, we got through the off season and we're getting into the actual season.
Yeah.
The spirits were high, optimism there.
Yeah.
Based off of his, as far as where you were and how you felt uh, about this year that was 22.
So I think Vegas was at like 7.5 wins, and I was thinking it would be an over. In that aspect, on my preview show, I think I had us at 8-4 or 9-3, somewhere in there, because the company line was that we're not losing anything from last year. We're building on where we were last year. So I bought that hook, line, and sinker, and yeah, I was thinking we were gonna be high flying like we had been, and as we saw, obviously the didn't cross over. But yeah, I mean, I think there was some excitement, but when it started going shaky early, I think the Illinois game, people were like, what is this season going to actually be? Like, maybe we need to temper our expectations here.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I was just, I just got an odd feeling when I just felt that, after the Richmond game, I always kind of don't count the non-conference early um uh CFS, or
Yeah.
college champ series, the non-bowl teams. So I felt like, okay, let's kind of, feel out, what this team's going to be. And when is passing the ball, third game of the season, I really, really doubted back as far as I didn't understand what team I was watching. I didn't know what was going with this. I didn't see any kind of adjustment from the staff as far as making, I guess, the players, feel a little bit more comfortable. Last year, I understand what coaches have to do when you come. You have to change everything to the system that you have because
Mm-hmm.
you have younger players who are going to be in the system long term, and you typically are not going to change just for your seniors. But we had an exceptional bunch, and what I think
Yeah.
would definitely prove to be a mistake.
Yeah. So that's the thing of being a first-year head coach and staff together. They want to come in and make their mark. They want to show this isn't last year. This is a brand new thing. This is our system. This is how it rolls. But you've seen with, like, in basketball, sometimes they build the team around LeBron because that's what they have, and you have to cater to the players that you have. With Lamar Jackson in Baltimore, that playbook wasn't the same playbook that Joe Flacco had. You know,
No, not
Lamar
at all.
Jackson, because they have Lamar Jackson, they get players that fit his style of play. They call plays that fit his style of play. So if you kind of saw that they had something that worked last year, it would have been nice if they maybe met in the middle somewhere, and but hindsight's 2020, right?
Now that we've had, some disappointment going through the season, there's also just some turmoil and dysfunction on the back end. You can see players' frustrations. Um, you know, they played hard. And I'm talking about the comparatively based off of what situations they were put in by the offense. The offense could not sustain drive. So the defense played way more than they had to. They took way more snaps than they should have. And that in turn would weaken the defense. So now that the offense struggled and they've tried to put a round peg in a square hole. What were you thinking midway through the season, halfway through the season? I just
Oh,
didn't
I
feel
mean,
like we were going to get to a bowl game because
yeah,
it too.
no, I mean, after Georgia Tech, and then so you got the win back there. I'm like, all right, that's good. And then Miami, they just couldn't score. All the field goals. Pitt with the back-to-back interceptions on the first two plays. It was like, oh my god. But earlier in the season, like after ODU and Syracuse, I kept waiting for it to click. I'm like, I saw some things. Maybe it's gonna
Mm-hmm.
happen. I'm a positive guy, and I'm like, I think they're ready to explode. And then Duke happened, and the Duke game really like took the wind out of my sails. I'm like, all right, last year's not happening. Um, you know, in terms of like the 8 wins. Um, but up until I was hoping for a bowl after the Georgia Tech game, maybe we could, you know, win out. But we just never got there. We didn't have any of the explosion, like even on special teams. Like we only had like 60 punt return yards all year. Um, our field goal kickers, we missed 8 field goals. Uh,
Yeah.
if you look like compared to our
Mm.
opponents had 5 times as many punt return yards as we had. Uh, they missed half as many kicks. There was just the whole points and explosion that we were used to in 2021 kind of all went away this year.
It was scary watching the decline of this team so fast. You're looking at
Yeah,
the offense, you're thinking, you know, bring high flying receivers. Still, even if it's a new system, surely they're going to use some of the talent and some of the plays, or not necessarily the plays, but maybe uh, the movements these players are used to, the muscle memory, doing
yeah.
things that they're used to doing, you know. But no, it was a total takeover. It was no compromise. It didn't look that way.
I
It
I
just looked that way,
I just
and the
remembered
players played that way.
at the homecomings game, we jumped out to a 10-0 lead against Louisville. And at that point, I was like, there's no way we're losing this game. Do you remember that? Uh, Wicks caught the long touchdown, and
It was ugly.
yeah. So we were up 10-0 in the first quarter, and I'm like, we're starting to figure this thing out. We're gonna get the win here. We're facing a backup quarterback. I'm like, we're gonna get the win here. We're gonna,
Their
get it.
starter.
Yeah, the starter was out. There were so many stops and starts. Like I thought we were gonna get back on track then. Nope, they ended up losing 34-17. Uh, it was a year that, man, I didn't see that happening before the season. No one saw 3-7. And you know what happened later in the year, no one could have predicted either. It was really a season from hell.
Right. Before we get into the last part of the season, at Locked On Virginia, we believe home should be where you and your family feel the safest, especially over the holidays. This season, give yourself and your family the gift of peace of protection at the #1 rated home security system. And right now, simply on Virginia listeners, 4% off the new security system. But don't put this off. Here's why I love it. They have a great system where you're able to have 24/7 monitoring. You also get an opportunity to get the Smart app, which has a live feeds and a watchers or something similar along the lines. Also, uh, SimpliSafe is named the best home security system of 2022 by U.S. News and World Report. In an emergency, 24/7 professional monitoring agents use Fast Protect technology exclusively from SimpliSafe to capture critical evidence to verify the get a higher priority police response. Don't miss your chance to save big on your on our security system. Get 40% on any new system at simplisafe.com/locked on today. That's simplisafe.com/locked on college. Simply. So yeah, finishing out the year, it was just disappointing. Then we have the unimaginable happen, man. We have the tragedy of losing 3 players to gun violence on campus, on grounds, on grounds, and I really didn't even I couldn't even fathom. We're sports guys, sports, and that's what it is to us. That's what we are here for. And then when you have something real, happen in life, something where you lose young men that they were lost, I almost couldn't continue on, just talking football, because it was just so hurtful at the moment. For you, Casey, where were you, and what, because you're right there close to the grounds, what was
Yeah.
your feelings on everything that goes on? Of course, your wife is an alum as well, so kind
Mm.
of give me an idea of everything.
Well, it was really scary. I mean, I remember kind of laying in bed waiting to see when the shelter in place was going to be off. We don't live on campus, obviously, on grounds, but we're not too far. And, that they said the shooter had fled and you don't know where he's at. So it was scary at the time. And, UVA is Charlottesville. Charlottesville is UVA. It's vice versa. So you can feel it in the city that day that like everyone was hurting. Everyone was thinking about the same thing. It was almost like, there was just a dullness in the air. It was like the city's heart was broken all at once. And, uh, you know, they did the local law enforcement and everything did a great job, getting it all straightened out and finding the guy. And I feel like UVA did a good job of honoring the players, and the team did a great job of, canceling the games and going to the funerals and having memorials and making sure that the families are taken care of and making sure that the fans have a chance to grieve these young men. Um, so yeah, it was good to see a little bit of light in all the darkness of everyone coming together, and celebrating them.
Right.
Uh,
And then of course you have survivors, Mike Hollins
yeah,
and Marlon as well. So so that
and Mike Hollins,
also something positive.
yeah, Mike Hollins did a great interview on the Pivot podcast, which you can find on YouTube, and he spoke for about an hour, and it was a really good uh, conversation. If UVA fans out there haven't heard it, it's the Pivot podcast with Mike Hollins.
So now that we've kind of got through the tragedy and we're all healing, we're going through this process.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got the rebuild. The
Yeah.
rebuild, which I felt was going to build a program after a horrible year, just a disappointing year, a year that you were supposed to be competitive, and then you
Mm-hmm.
have a tragedy on top of that.
Yeah.
How do you even make it? And lo and behold, based off of where they were, we got some positive things to come out of this cycle of off-season recruiting and transfer portal hunting. What did you think of what they did in rebuild for 2023?
Well, Tony did a great job. It seemed like during the whole tragedy of kind of being the face, and getting out in front of it, and that's you don't wish that on anyone, to have to have your team go through that and have to look at these kids every day, and he was put in a rough spot, and I thought he handled himself very well. So uh, he's at that point, I wouldn't have wanted anyone else to be our head coach. So I think a lot of people are rooting for him to get it headed in the right direction. I think he will get it headed in the right direction, because at the end of the day, is 3 wins in your first year isn't great, but we've seen situations where coaches have had worse years than that and then done great things. So, I think a lot of people are pulling for Tony. He had a good signing day. Got some in-state guys, got a 4-star, got a quarterback out of the transfer portal. We got some good players coming back. So, it's anything that we say now, who knows, because we got hit with such a loop last year than what we expected. But I hope they get it in the right direction, and I hope that they can have. It'll be successful if everyone can get pushing in the right direction, the same direction. Last year we had guys going this way, the coaching staff in one direction, the players in that direction. We need everyone pulling on the rope in the same direction. That would be a success.
Absolutely right, my man. So as we come to the end of the show here, we're definitely rooting for the football program. Now it's on to the spring. It's going to I don't think we're going to get May. They're gonna kind of work out a schedule so that we have some quarterback representation.
Mm-hmm.
With some experience in playing college football, and we'll guys, but it's great year of uh, UV to catch up and and get to the level that they need to be in. make sure you guys in the spring. Um, where we'll be covering, be at the baseball
Yep.
diamond, and I'll be at the lacrosse. So we'll get you guys some information on covering those sports, which those are championship caliber programs, and we're excited to
Of
cover
course.
those. But let's get through this winter. Let's get through. Let's get these. Let's get this basketball program covered, and there's a lot of great things going with them, the ladies and men's programs. So,
Yes.
anything you want to say before we get?
Uh, you know, I just want to say that but a lot of people give Tony Elliott a hard time during the first year, and some of it's warranted, but just give him a chance. I'm hoping that we can get this on the tracks, and I want him to know that mostly everybody is wants him to get it corrected. So
Absolutely, absolutely. So, hey guys, for hanging out with us and checking out Locked On Virginia and making us your first listen of. Sure you guys out. And there's a basketball that we'll cover as well. I may do some kind of a halftime show. Thank you guys, and we will see you tomorrow.